Stay to the end of this video for instructions on a giveaway of the new Big Finish Once and Future Set 2's company. Big Finish has hundreds of stories to choose from. I myself found it hard to pick an area and get into it. From starting with the free War Master audio to trying to complete all of the Time War. I eventually settled with smaller sets like Rose Dimension Canon and The Year of Martha Jones, plus stories that work well without any extras like Blood of the Daleks and of course, spare parts. I was pleasantly surprised to be greeted by the classic themed intro when listening to this story. I have no idea why, cause it is the exact theme you would expect from a 5th Doctor story. Following the sequence, we're met with a fantastic opening, what appears at first to be an act of patriotism as someone is picked from the committee, more on them later, to set off on man's greatest endeavour, or should I say Cyberman's. The fun style then takes a quick turn as we hear a radio conversation to the Explorer as he prepares to set foot on the planet's surface. Things continue to get darker as he exits, and the heavy breathing and frankly unsettling score, accompanied by the poor man's scream, is just horrific. I think this would have worked better as a cold open, but hey, this was released in 2002, so maybe cold opens weren't really utilised on Big Finish stories back then. Anyone who has listened to those era of audios, please feel free to let me know down below. As we get a change of scenery, the Doctor and Nyssa make their way through the streets of Mondas. I like that the Doctor hides the planet's origins from Nyssa and indeed the actual planet name, and then that she eventually works out for herself by the end of part 1. This story is really great at establishing an atmosphere, the hothouse atmosphere linking to the stone cavern which the city is built in, which is fascinating by the way considering the lack of visuals. The score, the transitioning and sound effects and the phenomenal script really help to establish this atmosphere in the story. Something I found really hard with Chibnall's Who was his ability to completely forget the show don't tell rule. Through Davison's voice work and the script, you can tell that he is genuinely frightened to be here, knowing something is wrong. He could have explained why to us, but it's not needed. The emphasis of worry yet still intrigue in his voice is enough to establish that this story will definitely be one that's darker in tone. And darker in tone it was. Back in the house of the three characters, the father only credited as Dad and his daughter Yvonne and her brother Frank, things continue to get increasingly horrific. The fact that the lights go out and people are locked in their homes which are described to be boarded up for, at this stage, undisclosed reasons. The noise of the patrols partnered with the score and oh my god, the poor woman at the door. Her screams of sheer fear and fright, it's so disturbing. Anyway, the Doctor continues to make new friends and Nyssa makes, well, shall we say, an impact with the family. Frank wants to sign up to the programme so he can witness the exterior of the city and stay sane, obviously alluding to the fact of the upgrading process. The nods and dialogue pointing towards the chess piece really show where World Enough and Time got its inspiration from. The introduction of Cybermats as kind of toys but with purpose was spookily realistic, something I fear is not too far off in today's world. With AI reaching new heights, it's not long before robotic creatures like the Cybermats are released into the wild to take care of rodents or help with general pollution and mess. The Doctor and his friend uncover the dark truth that the Cybermen are digging up the graveyard. I would have found this more surprising if it weren't for the series 8 finale, which, did this. And I know this came out years before, but I'm listening to this in 2023. Things in part 1 begin to wrap up and the Doctor and his friend Thomas defeat a Cyberman, and the Doctor makes his move to direct the future in a brighter direction, ringing the bells and summoning the people of Mondas to see the horrors at hand. After Frank the Snitch tells the Cybermen about Nyssa, she eventually finds the Doctor after being gifted the Cybermat from Yvonne. People gather around at the bells in their masses and the Doctor and Nyssa enter the TARDIS and leave the Mondasians to take control of their own destiny. Nyssa acts almost as Donna Noble in The Fires of Pompeii in trying to convince the Doctor to completely change history, but nevertheless he settles for a small nudge to build a brighter future. But as you already know, this is only part 1, and this story is incredibly dark. In a turn of events, the Cybermen order the extermination of the people, and the credits roll. To enter the giveaway, please subscribe and comment what review you would like to see next. Part 2 kicks off with a quick repeat of the past scene. Boring. And then moves swiftly on to the Cybermat Nyssa was gifted, causing damage to the TARDIS. I knew that would be relevant later! So, as the Doctor heads out for air and Nyssa is joined in the TARDIS by Frank, troubles continue outside as the public's anger continues to grow. From here on out, the story turns up the notch on the horrifying scale, with utterly disturbing scenes, such as Yvonne returning home post-processing to her family now as a Cyberman, a cloth for a face, rubber suits melted to the skin, and metal components merged with organic matter. Oh, it was just horrible! And then, to top all of it off, she even reveals herself as Frank's sister and her father's daughter through her cyber-distorted cries of the word daddy.
What's that? Oh no. Yvonne, is that you? What have they done to you? I can't see your face. And they've made you so tall. Oh, my little...
As her father reminds Yvonne of the meaning behind the Christmas tree, that being each decoration representing a new planet or star filled with life and a happier future, she begins to cry as she is reminded of her lost humanity. With the lack of visual elements, this story further uses its voice work and sounds through music and sound effects to let the mind run wild with visual imagery. Having to imagine a poor cyber-converted horse, the first cyber controller in the form of the committee, and a half-completed designs. This story really wouldn't have even been greenlit for a visual story. Having the budget needed for scenes of processing, set and costume design for the various characters and Cybermen, not to mention the sheer scope of this huge yet small in comparison to the planet underground city, acting more like a silo in the Series 3 finale Utopia. Cyber police knocking down doors, armies of civilians complaining and later rioting, even tearing down the town square tree as the entire foundation begins to slowly freeze over. For a story of just around 2 hours in length, it accomplishes so much world building, character work and, well, story. It's a real shame that the Cybermen, and indeed all the stories in recent Doctor Who, aren't giving as much care as this. With 6-part stories spanning 6 hours long, like Flux, not going to nearly as amenable detail as this, Russell really needs to see what Big Finish is doing and rip it for his own. Looking back on it now, with a cyber story having a lead character called Yvonne Hartley, and then just a few years later, the television series has a cyber story featuring a Yvonne Hartman, who also gets converted and retains her humanity, it seems that this story has left its disturbing shadow over far more cyber stories than I realised, and probably over future stories yet to come. Overall, Spare Parts is a gripping and atmospheric addition to the Big Finish library, showcasing the strength of audio storytelling in conjuring vivid imagery and emotional resonance. Peter Davidson's performance as the Doctor is nuanced and evocative, conveying a sense of concern and determination as he navigates the unfolding tragedy. A real standout of his Doctor Who work. Baker got the genesis of the Daleks, and this story works as the genesis of the Cybermen for Davidson. All in all, Spare Parts is a must listen for Doctor Who fans and audio drama enthusiasts alike. Its masterful storytelling, atmospheric production and memorable performances combine to create an experience that captures the essence of the show's best episodes. This audio adventure serves as a prime example of how Big Finish has expanded the Doctor Who universe through captivating and imaginative narratives. I give Spare Parts a 9 out of 10. For more immersive videos like this, subscribe and like the video. You can also join the Discord down below to suggest visuals or just join in the general Doctor Who discussion.